All right, so today's notes are all about the skin appendages. So these are derived from the dermis but extend into the epidermis of the skin. There are 4 appendages that are related to the skin: your hair and the follicle that it grows in, your sebaceous or oil glands, your sweat or sudoriferous glands, and your fingernails. So we're going to go through the 4 of those in today's notes. So the first is your fingernail. Your fingernail is made of hard keratin. It corresponds to hooves and claws in other mammals. It grows from the nail matrix. So if you look at your diagram over here to the right, by the way, this is one you need to be familiar with for your unit test on Tuesday. The free edge of the nail is the part that overlaps the end of the finger. That's what you would cut when you cut your fingernails. The body of the nail is what rests upon the nail bed, and the nail bed is an innervated, so it has nerves and pain function, and it also has a blood supply that provides blood to the fingernail to allow it to keep growing. Your fingernail grows from your nail matrix down here in the bottom right of this picture. The root of the nail is like a plant. Things grow from the root, so the root is right next to the nail matrix. The proximal nail fold is where your fingernail your skin overlaps your fingernail. And then the cuticle is a small piece of skin that protects from anything that's on your finger getting down into the finger. It's on your nail getting down into the finger and causing infection. So again, this is a diagram that you need to be familiar with. Hair and hair follicles are derived from the epidermis and the dermis. They are everywhere but on the palms, soles, nipples, and parts of the genitalia. Hair functions to keep you warm. Humans do have less hair than other mammals, but it does still function to keep us warm. Hair can also function to sense light touch of the skin. So if there's a slight breeze, you can feel that because of the hair on your arms and legs and back of your neck and all that good stuff. Your hair can also function to protect. Think about somebody that's got a whole lot of hair on the top of their head. That's going to protect their scalp more from damage if they were to fall, things like that. There was some confusion as we were working on our models and diagrams of hair and skin today, and primarily the confusion was found in what's the difference in the root and the shaft of the hair. So the root of the hair is anything that is below the surface of the epidermis. So all of this part over here to the right in our picture, below the surface is the root of the hair. So think like a plant. The roots of a plant are always below surface. And then the hair's shaft is anything that is above the surface of the skin. You have your erector pili muscle. That's what we talked about the other day, just how I think it's so fascinating that every hair follicle has a muscle attached to it. We also have our sebaceous gland or our oil gland. We talked about those the other day. And then the follicle is what the hair grows within. And so that's that kind of capsule that the hair is growing in. Again, a picture you need to be familiar with for your unit test next week. Hair is composed of hard keratin. And it's got 3 concentric layers, and concentric means one layer surrounds the other. The medulla is the center layer of the hair. The cortex surrounds the medulla, so the medulla is in the middle, then the cortex. And then the cuticle has single layers that overlap the medulla as well as the cortex, but it's on that outermost layer. Your hair averages growth of about 2 millimeters a week, and that's really kind of focusing on the hair on your head. It'd be kind of strange if the hair on our arms and legs grew at 2 millimeters a week. But the hair growth is averaging about 2 millimeters a week. Hair does have active growing cycle and then a resting cycle in which hair is shed. So if you've ever noticed that you just or suddenly feel like you're losing all your hair when you brush your hair in the morning, that's just your hair going through that resting cycle, and that's a really normal thing for hair. Then we have hair loss. So hair loss can be related to aging. Thinning hair is often age-related, and that's found pretty commonly in men and in women. That is not explicitly in one gender. Male pattern baldness is obviously a male trait. It is genetically linked. However, there's some current research that's saying that perhaps it's not the same linkage that we thought it was before. We used to believe that male pattern baldness was directly related to the maternal or DNA from your mom. However, there's some current research and studies that are saying that we're not sure if it's linked to maternal or paternal DNA. But male pattern baldness is a real concern. If you're looking for a disease that you could study or a genetic trait that you could study for your ABCs of disease, that might be a good one. Your hair color, if you have black or brown hair, that is determined by the amount of melanin produced. There is a distinct form of melanin for red hair, but other hair colors, it's based on the amount. If you have white hair, that is a decrease in melanin, so often that is age-related as well. It can be decreased melanin and air bubbles throughout the medulla of the hair. So through the center of the hair, we have air bubbles. It is genetically determined. Your hair color is genetically determined, but it can be influenced by hormones and the environment. Sebaceous glands or oil glands are all over the body except for the palms of the hand and the soles of the feet. They produce sebum, and its function is to oil and lubricate the skin. And the final appendage of skin is our sweat glands. They cover the entire surface except for nipples and parts of the external genitalia. Sweat glands function to prevent overheating. You can sweat as much as 12 liters a day. So think about a 2-liter Coca-Cola. You could sweat 6 of those in a day. Most of your sweat is water. However, we do lose some salts and electrolytes through sweating. That's why if you're really working out hard, you drink something like a Gatorade or a Powerade to replace some of those nutrients that you've lost. Side note about those things, it's always should be in a ratio of 1 Gatorade to 2 water. So whatever size cup you're drinking a Gatorade, you should have 2 water to complement it. Humans are the most efficient sweaters, and only mammals have sweat glands. Sweat can be produced in response to stress. So if you've ever had to present that project, or maybe you went on a first date and you started sweating profusely and then you had the cute underarm stains, that's all just a result of stress in the environment, and unfortunately that's a physiological thing we cannot control.